popping by again. Great to have you. I hope and pray all the best for you. And I'm believing Jeremiah 29, for I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you a hope in a future. And we will keep pressing on, and we put God first, and we persevere, and we get on that path, and we stay on track, and God will do miracles, and He will do wonders. So let's keep at it. I want to talk today about guarding our heart. It's been a very interesting concept, something that I've been learning more about lately, and things that I've been wanting to share about my own life, because I know I've had to guard my heart and my mind and my emotions, and I've had to really stay on the course, and the course that God has for me, of course. And so I want to talk to us about the idea about in Proverbs, where it talks about, above all else, guard your heart, for everything flows from it. And it's a very interesting concept. How do we guard our heart, right? I remember going through a season of life, actually this was a while ago, when a lot of my friends were starting to date and meet their husbands, and I was a greeter at the church. I was like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, oh man, I really got to guard my heart, because this ain't happening to me right now. I'm seeing all my friends get hitched, and here I am. I'm waiting, and I'm greeting them all with a smile on my face. So I really had to guard my heart in that instance. And God's faithful. He'll encourage us, and He'll come through for us. And I remember when I was serving in the church, and I was going at my faith walk and my own journey, and just not understanding why all my friends are getting hooked up and I'm still not dating or anything, nothing going on. And I remember this lady came up to me while I was, we call it ushering or event staff. It's when you greet people to come into the church. I love to greet people and make them feel welcome and special and a part of the church. And if you don't feel that way, I hope and pray you do, because we all need that. And as I say, while I'm serving, I'm going through life. I have things going on in my life, and I know there's times where sometimes we're in the spotlight, or we're doing a certain scenario, and we're going through life too, just like everybody else. And I had someone come up to me, and she said, hey, and she grabbed my arm. She's like, I was praying for you last night, and I just want you to know that God has someone for you, and it's going to fit like a glove. And I was like, whoa, I was kind of put off by that, because I was fighting back tears, and I really had to guard my heart, because it was their season of their getting to know their husband, or getting engaged, and all these different things and scenarios going on there with all these people coming into relationships. And I could see sometimes, like a mile away, I'm like, wow, they're meant to be. And it was just like, wow, guard this heart. And so what is guarding our heart? Well, when I think about a guard, it's someone who protects entry point into this, whatever they've got, whatever they're guarding. And I think that's what it means, is that God wants us to protect our heart from any entry, anything coming into it, because our life flows out of it, and the decisions that we make and what we put our full heart into. And I thought that was really interesting, that concept about us being the guard of our own heart. And there's other scriptures as well, and I know in Psalm it talks about creating in me a pure heart and renew a steadfast spirit. So our hearts can be corrupt, and the Bible also talks about how it can be deceitful. And so I know it's something that we always need to go after, and having a heart after God, and watching over our heart and guarding our heart through the seasons of life. And a couple other scenarios I wanted to share openly and honestly is, at one point I was a designer, and I went to visit a client, and they were complete strangers. And at the time I met someone online, and we went out for coffee, and he was into sports, and he was pretty close to becoming pro, and so he was very involved and had jerseys and did all these amazing things. And the people that I went to go visit knew nothing of this man, and I was really pumped up. It was our first time having coffee, and I was super psyched, because I haven't done the online thing, and it was like, to be quite honest with you, it was actually an unhealthy attachment that I had, because it was an unfamiliar experience for me getting out there in the dating world at the time. And so I romanticized the whole idea, and I had all these visions of my future with him. I only went out for coffee with the gentleman the one time. And anyhow, so these lovely people that I went to go and talk to and do a design project with, they prayed over me because they were Christians, and we were all excited, and they were asking me, oh, do you have anyone in your life? And I don't know how we got into the topic or the conversation. And I was just sharing a bit about the coffee that I had with this gentleman. And that was basically it. And then they started praying and prophesying and saying they didn't really know him. They didn't know he was into sports or anything. And they said, I see a man with a jersey, and these are the colors. And in a year from now, I see you up at the cottage and having a baby boy. And I remember he was into sports. He was always up at the cottage. And I was super psyched out. I was like, wow, this has got to be it. And I really believed them. And they're like, oh, this will happen in a year from now. And they said all these things. And I didn't guard my heart. And so I just went on my way, and I was so profoundly impacted. And I thought, wow, this is it. Cool. And this gentleman totally rejected me. And it totally caught me off guard. I was shocked. And yeah, so it didn't end up happening. It's been a bunch of years now. And he went on, dated other people. I have no idea what he's up to now. All I know is that did not come to fruition, and that was not happening. And I have no longer any more desire or interest for this person. But it's amazing how what we can let into our heart impact our mind, will, and our emotions and our actions. And I totally believed it. And I thought I was going to get married soon, and I had all these ideas because I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And not God's time, and not God's will, and not God's way, not his plan. And that really shook my faith. And that's happened a couple times where people have said things to me and I've believed them. And I thought, wow, they're well-meaning people and they're speaking this into my life. And so I've been heartbroken a couple times with that scenario, especially as time goes on. And God bless you. I hope you don't have to wait as long as me. But if you do, God will give you the strength, just like he's giving me the strength. And we keep going at it. And so those are instances where I definitely did not guard my heart, and I was heartbroken, and I was totally taken aback in my faith. And I was like, God, what is going on here? And I have this desire. I want to have a family, all these different things that you've spoken over me. I've had different prophetic things. I have your word. I have my heart, delight yourself in the Lord and he'll give you the desires of your heart. And I wasn't getting any fruit from it. And I was being constantly faithful, serving, and God has always encouraged me along the way. And I'm so grateful for him and his encouragement. There's also been instances where I've guarded my heart, where I'm like, good for you. I am genuinely happy for you. My heart is guarded. That is not the plan for me. That is not the time for me. God bless you. So I've definitely had those moments as well. And I've just learned how to persevere and try my best to listen to what God's plan and what his voice is and what the confirmation and the direction that he's taking my life. I'm not going to let go. I'm not going to waver with my faith, because faith is too precious and God has a plan or purpose. And I know the enemy wants to come in and lie and use these situations, or even my well-meaning friends who have spoken some things into my life, and distort my faith and distort my mind, and even try to breed bitterness in my heart towards them. But no, I'm not going to go that route. No way. They were well-meaning people, and it was just a moment where I had to guard my heart. And that's what we need to do sometimes. We just got to guard our heart, and we just got to keep pressing on and believe that God has an awesome plan, and growing into the likeness of Christ and receiving what he has for us.